What's up, guys? Today I want to do a quick comparison of what I would say is my two favorite carry options right now. Both of these are Glock 19 size firearms. This is a Shadow System MR920 and this is a Grit Grip. The Grit Grip is pretty much a Gen 3 Glock. You can put whatever, slide and stuff like that on it, but mostly what I'm talking about today will be their frame here. Let me just walk you through. Both these are pretty much the same builds, just it seems like I just went with different companies when I started putting flashlights and stuff on. So let's run you through the Shadow System first. Here I have a Romeo 1 Pro. This is a large, pretty much a large red dot, RMR footprint red dot. I have a TLR7 flashlight here in the front, and then these have AmeriGlow sights that come with them. They're tritium, blacked out in the rear, and then you can pick your dot pretty much when you buy the gun on which dot you want in the front on that sight. Moving on to my Grit Grips, I have a Sealy Ghost on here. This is a multi-reticle RMR footprint. I ended up ordering tritium rears and fronts. These are OEM Glock tritium sights. And then my flashlight on here is a Balder S blue laser light combo made by Olight. As you can see, both these firearms, I mean, pretty much I built them almost identically because I kind of like them to be a little bit smaller. Red dot's a little big on these, but overall, this is kind of what I like to carry. So price-wise, I have a Shadow System Elite, but you can get the CR920 combat versions and things like that, and you're looking at probably $500 to $600. Whereas if you go with a Grit Grip, you're going to get what I would say is more bang for the buck. You can get their frames with their lower parts kit in it for around $130. And then you can get their slide, which I feel like an idiot. I didn't even know they made slides until today. I've been telling my friends, I was like, God, I wish they made a slide and barrel so I could complete this with a Grit Grip. But yeah, they do make a barrel and slide. I just ended up going with Killer Innovations. They sent me this barrel and slide, so I'll probably keep it on here, but they're a super pricey company, and obviously it looks really good, and I'll probably continue using it because I love this firearm as it is. But Grit Grips, you can get their, you can get their lower with their complete parts kit, and then you can go get their base. You can go get their base slide and barrel or whatever for, I think, around $150. And then you can get their more advanced one, which got window cuts and slide serrations, just like these do, with an RMR footprint red dot cut in it. You can get that, I think, for around $180, which that means you could completely build a Grit Grip for probably under $350, which is just absolutely insane when comparing it to like the Shadow Systems, where this is an Elite model. I bought this, well, actually I didn't buy this, I traded for it, but I did buy a CR920, which is Elite, which is pretty much the same price as these. It cost me $899. This is like their Elite model, so you can get the combat models for probably between $500 and $600. And I know some price Nazis gonna get on here and be like, oh, I got mine for $450, but for the most part, I think the combat models are going for around $500 to $600. I see some for more. You can get all types of different things with these, whether you want a mag flare or stuff like that. Yeah, but overall, Shadow System's gonna cost you quite a bit more money if you're getting into it. $350 for a complete Grit Grip is pretty insane. So guys, I want to do some shooting quick. I haven't shot these two firearms side by side yet. I've been talking about it for a while, and pretty much ever since I got the Grit Grip, that has been my everyday carry for, when I'm out and about in town and things like that. When I'm not just packing my pocket carry, I'm actually doing other things where I think I need a bigger firearm. I'm usually running my Grit Grip right now, so I'm just gonna shoot these side by side, and then I'm gonna kind of, use that to address a couple topics here in a minute and answer some questions. So first off, let's do the Grit Grip, and let's see how she does. I haven't shot yet today. I'm a little cold, so let me warm up. I pulled that one right over the top of that blade. I love that gun. It's a really good gun. I got the Shadow System MR920. See how she fares. yeah, I just love Glock 19 size firearms, obviously, because they just run great. Shoot them a couple more. Let's see what we got going on here. Move back to the grit grip. I know what I was doing. I held down on my slide catch there. I don't know why I was doing that. My thumb got a little high. Move back to the shadow. Oh, I did not know this did that. Huh. Guess I should train more. Boy, those both just run great. I kind of want to maybe move back a little bit and see how I do there. I got some blades positioned up here that got little further shots. I noticed that the grit grip, I wouldn't say it's a worse trigger, but no, it's definitely a worse trigger. The shadow system kind of feels spongy at first, but when you get used to it, which I shoot it all the time, at least I used to, it's kind of spongy, and then it breaks real nicely. But the grit grip is pretty much right at the wall, and then it just, I mean, it is a lot of weight before you break it. It feels a lot like just like a base Glock trigger, which is, I think, what a lot of people struggle with, is getting used to base Glock triggers. That's why a lot of people, you know, they can pick up a 1911 or things like that and just tag shit all day, but then they pick up a Glock and they're like, oh, I can't hit shit with this thing, it's off. Well, it's usually because of the trigger. They just don't know how to pull the trigger properly. So I'm gonna move back because I know I can shoot 118 yards with my shadow system and hit these blades. So let's move a little further back and let's see how fast I can transition with the grit grip versus the shadow system. All right, guys, so what we got going on here is I loaded up 2 magazines, each with 6 rounds, because not only do I want to compare the triggers right now, but I'm going to be comparing my reload speeds with them. So the combat version of the Elite does not come with a flared magwell. This is the Elite, so it did have a flared magwell on it, of course. So I took that off just so we can kind of compare how easy these two are to reload compared to one another. From looking at them right now, I would say that they're pretty much beveled the same here. Flare-wise, they look almost identical in size. We're going to be practicing reloads like that, so I'm going to shoot 6 shots. I have 1 blade there, 1 blade there, 3 down here, and then back in the hole that we were shooting earlier, this blade you won't be able to see, but I'm also going to plug him at the end, and then I'm going to reload and try going through it again. We're going to just see how fast we can go. My furthest shots here are probably around 35 to 40 yards, so I should get a good idea if this trigger is better than the other, just based off that. A lot of times lighter triggers, you know, you don't throw shots as much at further distances, especially when you're running at speed. One thing I really can't supplement for, though, even though I took the flared magwell off on my Elite, is my Elite, I've shot probably, I don't know, I've shot thousands of rounds through my shadow system Elite, so the grit grip's going to be kind of at a disadvantage here today on all my shit because I've shot it maybe 300 times, you know, between 300 and 400 times. So let's do this, let's shoot some, and let's talk about it afterwards. First up, we're going to go with the shadow system Elite. All right, I want to do one more of the shadow system, MR920, and then we're going to switch to the grit grips. You can tell from doing it once to the second time how much you warm up just from, you know, just running through it once. So let's go to the grit grips, and we'll also give it a second run through so we can, you know, acclimate to the triggers. All right, guys, we're gonna move on to the grit grips. Let's pray that this doesn't just turn into a cluster fudge. Confidence in myself is great. Runs great. I think if I stretch this back probably to like 100 yards like I do with the Shadow, I might see a big difference. Though this trigger's, it's a little heavy. That means when you're pulling it, it just gives you that little bit more, I guess, chance of throwing her off at the last second. All right, guys, we're loaded up. Let's run it for our final test here. I think I missed two. Could have just been me. I think I aimed a little low. I shot in the rocks. I don't really want to run another one, but I might. All right, guys, I'm going to run a third run with the grit grips because I'm kind of just a shit shot and I threw those in the rocks. So let's see what happens. Very happy with that. All right, guys, so shooting these two firearms, I don't really see much difference here when it comes to handling. The trigger is definitely something that's a little noticeable, but I shoot at further distance with my handguns for no apparent reason. I just do it for fun. The odds of you getting in a self-defense situation where you have to shoot your handgun at 100 yards is very, very rare. The average distance for self-defense, a citizen-involved self-defense shooting, is between 3 and 5 yards. So trigger weight really isn't going to be that big of an ordeal. Your shots are going to be pretty much on at that pace, and you're probably not even going to be using your sights. Red dots at that point pretty much just become useless too. But I do want to talk about a couple things here that you're getting with the Shadow system that you will not be getting with a grit grip. And this might be a, you know, buy or sell thing here. This might make you want the Shadow system over the grit grip. These back straps here, these are you come with 3 when you buy a Shadow system, and they are replaceable. So, you know, I use the smallest ones always. These really aren't things that I ever use because I think they usually come with the smallest on it. I know mine did, but I did get mine used, so I'm not really sure. You know, if you have a bigger hand though, you might want to get a bigger back strap here. And that, you know, that might be something that makes you want to go with the Shadow system over the grit grip. If you buy a grit grip frame, as you can see, you don't get anything extra here. You can't put back straps or things like that on it. I do want to mention though that I think the grit grip frame is a lot more comfortable. The Shadow system, it's got great texture. I mean, extremely aggressive, very nice texture. It might even be better than the grit grip. That's hard to say. The grit grips is very nice. One thing I will say about the Shadow system frame here, though, is it kind of just has the square feel of a Glock. They really didn't do much different when it comes to this side here. As you can see, you're just flat on both edges, where the grit grip, when you feel this firearm, if you get a chance to, go feel one if you can get one in a local store or something like that. But definitely worth the feel. They really just curved everything on this very nicely, and you can see it actually like curves on the edges here, which fits right into this crease of your hand, which makes you just feel like you got the whole real estate of your hand filled with the texture of your grip. They just curved everything very nicely on here. I'm really happy with that. I would also like to mention the shelf on this. The Shadow system looks like it has a better shelf just because it's bigger, and it looks like you would have more real estate for your thumb. And they do have a nice cut down here, but for some reason I can't hook it nearly as well as I can hook that shelf there on the grit grip. They did like a 90-degree cut here and very aggressive, whatever their texture is, it's their logo, but you can really pull down on that shelf there, and I do think that is a bit better than the Shadow systems, just in my opinion there. I just feel like I can get a better grab of my thumb and pull down that recoil in the front much better. And I mentioned this earlier, but I didn't give you guys a good view of it. You can see they both have really nice, like, flared mag wells here right at the base. I can't really tell, but I don't know. I'm not sure which one's bigger. One looks like it's a little longer going forward, and one looks like it's a little wider on the sides. You know, the Shadow system looks a little wider. Grit Grips looks a little further. I don't know if you guys could tell a difference in my reloading. If you think you can, I guess you'll be the judge of that. I did feel like I might have stumbled more on this, but I'm not, you know, I could have just screwed up every time I reloaded this versus this. So, you know, you're going to really notice these things when you shoot a lot of rounds through that firearm. I've shot tons through this, so it might just be the angle that I'm reloading at. This is pretty much what I've practiced all my reloads with, because this has been my go-to for a very long time up until I got this. So it's hard to say which one I'm reloading quicker. All right, guys, so end of the day, I just want to give you my honest opinion on these two firearms. I'm griping a lot about this trigger here, but like I said, in self-defense situations, you might want a heavier trigger, especially if you're going in your appendix carries and things like that. You don't want to blow your nuts off. But Shadow system, of course, isn't that light either. It's just a preference I have because I've shot it longer, and I'm actually planning on this is turning into a range toy as well, so I might lighten up this trigger. There's a lot of options you can do there. I've done it a lot with P80s. You just take a Dremel and you polish, you know, some parts in there. I don't want to get too into it on YouTube because I don't know what they allow, but you can look these things up, and it's very easy to make a stock trigger a lot lighter. End of the day, where would I spend my money? I'm pretty sure you could get this firearm here without the red dot and the light for around $300, $350. A combat version of this without the red dot and light, you're looking at least $500. That's at the least. I've seen them go for, you know, 5 to 6. I've seen upwards, you know, upper prices than that, probably depending on where you live, what gun shop you got, things of that nature. Those are really going to determine what your pistol's going to cost. But I mean, if I had to put my money in something right now, I'd build like 6 of these before I bought another one of these, because I would have more guns in my name, and they're just as good. I can always upgrade my trigger later, and by the time I had a $150 Timney in here, then I'd be sitting at the same price as the Shadow system, and my upgraded trigger with the Timney would be, I mean, 100 times better than the Shadow system trigger. I don't know if you'd want to everyday carry something like that because the Timney's very light, but I'm just throwing ideas out there. I think they've made a awesome grip here. It's absolutely wonderful. I love what they did with it, with the curves and things like that. They really made it really I guess it wouldn't be aerodynamic. I'm not sure how you saw that. They really rounded everything off so it just doesn't plug up on anything. Very good concealed frame. Yeah, I think if I was going to put my money into something, I would go with the Grit Grip. I'll probably get their advanced one, because they have I need to email them. I might email them, ask them to send me their barrel and slide. I would love to do some reviews with the full Grit Grip firearm. I feel like an idiot because I literally didn't even know that they made a barrel and complete slide, but it's sitting right on their website, and then I would have a complete Grit Grip firearm that I could compare to things. Right now I'm running with a Killer Innovations. It's a pricey company, but I asked them to send me this barrel and slide, and I am not complaining. It's beautiful. When Killer Innovations sends you something, you probably should put it on a gun and not put it in a safe. So that's what we're doing. End of the day, yeah, I would go probably for Grit Grip with my money. I don't see the advantages of the little bit advantage of the grip, these grip pads here, whatever the hell they call these back straps. It's not something I use, so for me it's just not a selling point. And then I think the shelf's better on the Grit Grip. Trigger's a little shittier, but for a self-defense situation, and you saw I can handle it fine. A little bit of training, I bet I'd be shooting the Grit Grip just as well as I'm shooting this. So yeah, you guys be the judge of what you want based off a few little things I mentioned, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.